But yeah, so tell me a bit about this project at Sacramento Airport.
So this project, I felt like it was getting a lot, like it was being delayed a lot because of certain, material not being approved, and so I feel like there was a lot of delays going into building this. Uh, what I can say, I came into this project like midway kind of through because Diego started it, Diego Silva. Um, so there was like a lot of, pushback on material or like just procurement time or just responses from the county inspectors and whatnot. So there was like a lot of delays, like it's project specific, some projects go fast, some go slow. But I feel like I came in through the middle of the project, finished off the underground with the help of Silvio and other great laborers, through that I've worked with. Um, and and then I also started working with a new superintendent, Frank. And it's when you're working with new people and coming in midway through, you kind of take a time to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of felt that to time to adapt. We overcame it, got used to how everybody works. Um, I not figured out, but I found out what needed to be worked on and what roles people played in. And I started to feel that it was almost getting like pushed aside, this project, kind of because of the tower, and like everybody was scared of building the tower. I don't think we've ever done a tower that I know of.
Yeah, I think Roxy said that was the first time.
That was the first tower. Yeah. So there was almost like this pressure too, and like the buildup of building it here, and et cetera. So coming into the middle, finish off the underground, doing as much electrical as we could. The shelter took place. I wasn't there for the shelter that got installed. But yeah, leading up to the building of the tower is where my mind always goes to that, because there was so much preparation to it, and on Roxy's behalf, she can take a lot of the credit, and also the whole team, because it takes a team effort, obviously.
Yeah.
When I got pulled back out, and then I got pulled back in when it was time to build the tower. The superintendents all decided to throw brains at it, when it was time to build the tower. Like, okay, we got to do it. It's been sitting out there for so long. They've done inventory like several times. The warehouse guys did inventory. The intern and Roxy did inventory. So there was like a mismatch of numbers. So we just got like, there's the whole thing going on, making sure we had the right parts, bolts, etc. So when it was time to build the tower, they decided to throw brains at it, and I was a part of that crew to finally build the tower here on site at the shop, and it felt really cool to see, like, just to notice that your involvement, just once you're like, okay, I have no other choice, I can't back out, and so I have no other choice to just work together as a team. Then I met two laborers from SoCal. They've been with the company for a while, so they said
Rogelio was out there.
And then I forgot the other guy's name, but was really cool.
Gil, I want to say.
Oh yeah, Gilberto. Yes. No, yeah, I think it's Gilberto. Anyways, really cool guys, really good, really smart. And we all just meshed, honestly. It was between the whole crew. And they also decided to throw in, at that point, a field engineer that just got hired. I don't think he's no longer with us anymore, but just so he can also see how we function as, royal,
Mm-hmm.
our culture and whatnot. And I really try to instill that in him to the best of my ability. Yeah, it was a good project it was a good point in time to where I saw we all just collaborated really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
And then aside from building it on site, the logistics of it in terms of, okay, now we got to start thinking about taking it out there. How are we going to taking it? How are we going to transport it to site, picking plans, etc. That was being worked on the back end or towards the end of us assembling the tower.
Mm-hmm.
Then we started thinking about that. And I'm pretty sure Christian did too. Christian Anderson had a lot of involvement in scheduling and organizing. There was a highlight in this assembling of the tower where I kind of keep thinking about, but the ladder itself, we had it installed the other way. It was flipped. It was reversed. So that's something that we also touched on when we had involvement week. I think it was around this time.
Oh yeah. Inclusion week.
Inclusion week. Yeah, I said involvement. That's kind of close. But just the fact that we're all comfortable sharing ideas, we gather as a team. I came to Christian like, hey, Christian, can you check this out real quick? And it was the ladder had to be the other way around, and we were like really contemplating, like, well, maybe. And then we were like, no, I think you're right. So it made me feel good that I caught something. Whenever I catch something, it makes me feel like extra good. That means they know that I am paying attention.
Right.
Or like I'm paying attention to the details, because details go a long way when you're looking at certain plans and whatnot. But aside from that, it's just the fact that I feel comfortable enough to work as a team and to go up to the supers and come with questions. I think that was something that to be highlighted, going back to now the logistics of it, of getting it transported out there, I learned a lot of things as to, like, when you're transporting a heavy load, you're supposed to be, or like a wide load, you're supposed to be on the road at a certain time and off the road at a certain time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's certain time frames.
There's like a DMV regulation.
I'm not sure if DMV probably, but I remember, I can't remember the time frames, but
it must be early morning.
Really early morning, or like a little bit after that. I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. I can't remember off the top of my head. But a lot of things in terms of picking points, pick plans, safety involved in all that.
Yeah.
I would say it takes a team effort to get to. It took a team effort, obviously, to build it and to get it over there, and just a lot of heads involved. Communication at first was kind of like not unclear, but I could feel like there was some type of not restriction. There was a little bit of like uncertainty as to communication wise, because there's so many people involved at this point. And okay, we just need one person to tell us, like, okay, this is what we're doing. And they kind of wanted me to take control, but I didn't have that much involvement in the getting the material and like the knowledge behind of what goes where.
Was that more Roxy?
That was more Roxy that was involved, and bolts had to be tested. I didn't know that. And like certain things like that, they ended up getting tested, but like bolts had to be etched so they can get later painted, primered and painted, so the paint won't, scratch away easily. Things like that. Certain equipment for the electrical had to get painted. So there was like a lot of moving parts and whatnot. But towards the end, the communication started to, get more clear, the avenues of communication. Another person that was really good, I'm looking at the picture, Leon. Leon's a really good forklift grader operator. It's just the safety at that point. When we were building it, safety at that point in terms of just keeping an eye on a spotter and like paying attention of where the tension on the four-way chain on the rigging equipment, paying attention of where that tension is. So where if you go ahead and pick it up, he knows that it's going to swing one way or, so, and we did a good job of, wearing all of our PPE and then having taglines, being very smart. I think this whole team that put it together is very smart in terms of safety. And, going back to, I don't know, I guess my train of thought about getting it there.
Yeah. Well, and Roxy even mentioned that like the specs had even called for like certain temperatures for painting.
Yeah.
It couldn't be too hot, couldn't be too cold.
Surface and paint couldn't be anything below 50. So
at the time it was really hot, right?
At the time, yes. So the other challenges that we had is started to get really cold. And so like the touch-ups on field, once it was transported there, had to be at a certain time. And the paint had to be stored somewhere where it wouldn't get that cold. Or then we would bring it out in the sun so it could, get to a certain temperature. But there was that other detail in there that you had to pay attention to.
And why was it put together here at the shop? Was it just the space and at the job site was limited, or?
I would say space. Now looking back, I would say space because over there and on site, well, you saw. I mean, there wasn't really that much space to work on, or like we would have to had those buses moved. A lot of things out there moved in order for us to work freely and comfortably. Okay. I feel like it was a good decision. And also,
like the security too.
Yeah, the security too.
Having to be badged to be in there.
Yeah, that too. I honestly just felt like it's better to build it at home than away from home, kind of thing. I'm not sure what the major decision was to build it here. I believe Christian Anderson is the one that made that decision to build it here. We had to get like a prefab, not a prefab, but was it a prefab phase code for this?
Okay, and then the prefab guys were out there helping.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, David. Because he was at first he was involved, I think, in the inventory when we first got all the parts and pieces. So since he was one of the first ones, they lend us over his help from the warehouse. Good help, really good guy. I'm telling you, like they picked a lot of good, smart people to just come together. And you might think that a lot of people not bickering, but just a lot of smart heads won't get together sometimes.
Different ideas,
But no, man, honestly, everything was really cool to just see everybody come together and set the tower or put together the tower. And then this day is cold as hell.
Right.
Oh my God, man. For a point in time, I don't know how Diego and the other kid were doing that up there, but my gloves are wet. Yeah. There's a point in time I had to go back in the truck and just, warm up a little bit because Jesus.
Yeah.
At this point, we had gotten the tower there. We did the touch-ups. And I feel like everything happens for a reason because the only day that it didn't rain or it had just rained a lot before. Yeah. Catch a break on, I think it was a Friday.
Yeah, it was Friday. Yeah.
And then I think it rained a lot on Saturday. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
I can't remember
either. But there was like a break. It rains, break, set the tower. Okay, go back to raining. But it was cool to see the subs being involved, like Maxim. you could just tell when people have been doing things for a really long time.
Yeah.
Because the confidence that these guys gave, it was just like another day, you know, when picking something up heavy. For us, I mean.
Yeah, they seem pretty relaxed.
Yeah.
It probably makes everybody else more calm, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's just one of the things I was like, I noticed right away. I was like, it's just another day for these guys.
Yeah.
I was like, because I think the operator was like, well, we're going to pick it, set it. That's it, right? Like, what are we going to do? We're not going to do anything else with it, right? And I'm like, well, yeah. Just different perspectives and, you know, experiences at that point. You know, they probably picked the things up way heavier than this.
Yeah.
But since this is something that we've only done once,
yeah,
you know, for Royal, it's like a big thing for us, you know.
Have you worked with Maxim before? I feel like you're on a lot of projects.
Yeah, we've worked with Maxim before, like for Mathers and the generators. They're really good. Really good sub to work with. As far as I don't know any hiccups or anything that's with them. But yeah, and that gave us a lot more confidence. Frank did. Frank at this point came back into the picture because he was working on other projects. Because he started off the project, got off it, and then came back. And so he did it. He did a good job of gathering everybody, putting everybody together in their roles in terms of safety. And again, looking at these pictures, it makes me reflect on how we all kind of just got each other's back. You know, we know our roles at this point, and Frank clarified them a little bit more when we did this daily huddle. And it was just, honestly, it was a good feeling to the day, you know, for the beginning of the day. Aside from being cold, it was good. It was a good feeling. There was, you know, a little bit of excitement, a little bit of nervousness.
Yeah.
But all of our things were, you know, all the things were done. Like, but no, actually, there was one thing that we still had to install. That what you saw us installing the fall protection thing. That was one of the things I also wanted to mention. That was a hiccup there, and I not a hiccup there. It was just a, you know, I would say lack of detail. When you're not, what's the word? The word's not coming to me, but I'll tell you what happened. So the painters were doing touch-up, and I guess instructions weren't clear enough to what needed to be touched up and whatnot. And at that point, when they were doing touch-up on the tower, some of the railing, the fall protection system in the middle of the ladder was already on. And so they started to paint that. And I remember vaguely Christian saying, I don't think that needs to be painted because, you know, it's a fall protection. It can, you know, cause either some type of damage. I don't think it needs to be touched.
Yeah.
So me and Frank saw that they had painted it, and we decided both that as long as the interior where the little slider goes up and down, as long as the interior isn't painted so it doesn't get stuck. I was like, okay, well, the interior isn't painted, so. But something like in the back of my head, I was like, okay, I got to check with like the specs, or got to check with the manufacturer, the people that sent it to us. So I did my due diligence, and I found out that it cannot be painted interior or exterior. So at that point, it was like 2 days prior to pickup, it was like 2 days prior to the tower being picked, and we took off the painted pieces that got painted. I was able to pressure wash them off. Okay. I did some of it in the help of Arnell, and we got all the paint off and the primer off, and so we got saved. We didn't have to order a new fall protection system, and we got it back on site, and we decided we have to install it first thing in the morning prior to, and then we did the test run, make sure everything it slid up and down correctly. Got the blessing from Jeff, Patrick being out there. I still had some sort of concern, but it's just me being either, I don't know if it's paranoid or just concerned, but I felt like there should have been a manufacturer representative on there.
Oh, just
to get a blessing from them, because they made it.
Yeah.
I want them to say, okay, yeah, you installed it right. Yes, we followed directions and whatnot, but some of the instructions were kind of not unclear, but just the instructions had items on there that you could install the fall protection system two ways, and it gave you items that had the fall protecting system installed with at a certain amount of foot. It had some steps, for resting, and then the one that we bought and installed didn't have that. So there was a little bit of confusion, but just a little bit of clarification would have been nice if a manufacturer rep was there. Just be like, oh yeah, you're good, you can go up there safely.
So did Jeff have some ideas for you? You guys were looking at some
when we were
documents?
looking at there, we were just what's the saying, dotting our I's, crossing our T's.
Yeah.
Just to make sure we installed it correctly, and a test run, we came up, let's slide the little slider all the way up to the top, all the way down, just to see if there's any it gets stuck.
Yeah.
And that's what we ended up doing. Once it functioned properly, once we saw the test run was good, I feel like everybody was on board at that point. Okay, yeah, it works fine. The reassurance of having safety there did feel good when it was time to go up the ladder, because we were contemplating on not going up or not going up.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Yeah, we were
just that day.
That day.
Okay.
Yeah, because we eventually had to go up.
Yeah.
There was talks of going up the existing ladder and bringing down the old beacon. The talks of going up or not going up was because they didn't. The airport didn't want a non-functional beacon up there.
Yeah.
Obstructing the existing beacon. So we had to go up there also because of the ob lights. They were going to be non-functional at that point once it was erected. So we had to, securely strap the temporary ob lights to the cage up there. And then once it was erected, we were able to get up there and, install those temporary ob lights and help with Diego. And it was pretty cool just to see him up there. There was certain things that needed to get adjusted. Now I'm thinking about before it was erected. I remember Vitaly pushing the mesh, not the mesh, but the base,
little door thing.
The little door, and there was a discrepancy and then he had to notch it out.
Oh, that's right.
Because it wouldn't close or open, completely as it should. So he had to notch it out. And another thing I think we all came together was when we were setting the tower on the pad itself, measurements and everything. We had a laser out there just to make sure everybody's legs were in place. Yeah, it was a team effort. I think it couldn't have been like a better day, honestly. It felt like a long day, but everything went really, really well. I believe everything went really, really well. And that's what you get when you prepare.
Yeah.
As much as you can, mitigate any, catastrophes, or,
Right.
you mitigate all the danger, and just having a good team, having good subs,
Yeah.
it goes a long way. Yeah.
So this laser, is that what kind of equipment is that?
So it's we use it a lot to either set a box. It's to get the right. So if you want it, the finished grade of things.
Okay.
So to either get the depth of where your box should be, or to get the height. Like right now, Silvio in that picture he set the bottom bolts to spec of. So you put in play the thickness of the legs of the tower.
Oh.
And then that way he doesn't have to adjust the bottom bolts. So he set them to grade pretty much.
Oh, okay.
So he set the bottom ones first, and that way when it's time to install the tower, you don't have to be under the leg and maneuvering the bolts.
Because I was confused, because it seemed like the bolt was too high, like it was almost resting on the bolt, but it like goes below it. Is that what you're saying?
So
like it sits below it.
It sandwiches the tower,
Okay.
the tower leg. So it would go bolt, washer, and then the tower leg. So the thickness of the leg base, and then there was these square washers that got placed on there. You can see them on that picture that were just there. They came with, there was these square washers. So it was bolt, washer, tower leg, and then the square washer, and then the nut. Sorry, not the bolt, but nut, washer, tower leg. So it's just to get the right level, to get the right grade.
Okay.
And the laser's accurate because you do your measurements. You set the laser at a certain measurement, and then once you hear, and it has a little display screen. Once you hear it go, like once you hear a flat line, is when you're grade. You can't move it out of there. So when you set all 4 corners to grade, you can't go wrong.
Okay.
With being like one side off, one side,
Yeah, it was funny. I was filming Silvio as he was doing that, and I was standing between him and the laser, and he looks over at me, and like Roxy was like, "Hey, I don't think you can stand there."
Yeah.
I'd move out of the way.
Yeah, that's one of the things for the laser you have to kind of be aware of. In construction, in construction in general, because you get that a lot also when there's heavy machinery on, like at a certain job site, and like the scrapers and the loaders and the dozers or whatever, they have built-in laser systems in those, and it's pretty cool because they have that heavy equipment has a laser programmed in there, so they set up a control point, and they have a grade setter in between that. And if you disrupt the connection between the control point, the grade setter, and the heavy equipment, you'll get dirty looks and you get yelled at on job sites because they just want to keep working, right? Yeah. So it's kind of the same thing, that happened at you just don't get yelled at or anything.
Yeah.
You just can't be there. You can't disrupt the connection between the laser and the grade stick.
Do you see instead of a laser like in the past, they use like a string or something?
Yeah, I would say a string. It would be, you get your points, and then you get you have to have finished grade. Yeah. A string would be the other way.
Because I remember being out at Del Paso Manor years ago. And it was when they were, I don't don't know what it would have been, but like forming for the foundation, I guess it would have been. And it was like kind of a big like hop to get over it.
Okay.
And there was like string, you know, like they're working on it, and I broke the string, and I sort of like walked around like, oh, it wasn't me. 'Cause I didn't know what to do. I was still kind of new then.
Yeah. The string would be the other way to do it. At least probably one of many ways to do it. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other ways too, you know, that we don't know.
So how does that, the fall protection system you guys were installing, it seemed like you had to like it would go up and then down? How does the mechanism work?
So a fall protection system on that was like a small little rail, and it almost, I guess you can not connect it, but you can kind of think of it as a, like, you know, those small train track things where like they would mine gold down, and they were like on a little cart.
Oh yeah,
going back and forth. It always kind of reminded me of that, but because you had to, there was a D hook on the mechanism itself, and so you had to like pull it back and up to release it, so you could keep sliding up. And then the same thing when you would go down, you have to pull back and up so you could slide down. And then you would do that, and there was enough space to where between each latch to where you could pull back, go up, and it would click, 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 and then you could climb up. And then as your way down, so you would, I don't know how Diego did it, you know, being up there to your own comfort, but to go down, you would, you know, have one hand, I'm assuming, on the ladder itself. You know, lift up, go down maybe two, and then, you know, go down. But it was like a lifting, pull back, lift type of thing.
Is there like a certain procedure in that, or like you say, it's just to comfort? Like, officially, are you supposed to be, like when you're pushing it up, are you supposed to have like 3 points of contact? Or
I would say 3 points of contact for ladders in general, from what I've learned from safety. But there wasn't anything on the instructions saying like, okay, this is how you should climb. Yeah, it just it did stress about wearing proper fall protection. Oh yeah, but it didn't have. That's why probably one of my concerns, or just why I wanted a manufacturer rep out there to instruct us and tell us this is the proper way to climb and get down up there. That was probably another. Now that you're bringing that up, it would have been nice to have them out there for that, because it didn't say on the instructions, you know, climb this way, don't climb this way. You're doing it the wrong way. So by all means, I mean, Diego could have been either doing it wrong or did it right. You know, I don't know. Maybe we could have watched the YouTube video at that point just to see. That could have been another investigative step that could have took me and Jeff. But yeah, first time I ever seen that type of fall protection. It kind of matched the existing one, so we were kind of looking and observing that one and how it kind of slid up and down.
So the harness is the same, but it's just the rail thing is new.
Yeah. The harness is the involvement of, you know, submitting a picking plan and then safety plan. Jeff and Patrick did a good job, and, you know, making sure everybody was safe.
Yeah.
Giving us a little bit more confidence by them being there, and helping Diego put the harness on correctly. And we had to climb it up again, you know, not too far after that, just to take the oblights down, the temporary oblights down. So
what was Diego doing up there on that Friday?
Diego was making terminations for the beacon, and we ended up getting the clearance to install the beacon up there as non-functional, you know.
Okay. So
we got the clearance from the airport because they saw and they as you can see on one of the pictures, the existing tower is taller than the.
Oh yeah.
Because it's on a higher ground, and the foundation's a little higher than the other ones are. And so, since it was higher, it wasn't going to obstruct it, so we got the clearance.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize the elevation was slightly higher. So is are the towers themselves the same height? But it's just...
That's a good question. I don't know if they're the same height. I was thinking the elevation is just different, So
because the new one's 75 feet, right?
The new one is 77.
Oh, 77.
Yeah, 77 feet. The other one, the old one, I don't know how tall.
Slightly higher.
Probably. Yeah. But that's what he was doing up there. He got obviously to not obviously, but to install the temporary oblights, and then to make the terminations. That's him installing the temporary oblights. To make the terminations and the electrical panels up there for the beacon. So just to have it ready, so whenever it gets powered up down there on ground, then you would be able to have it on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of also not to forget, but I think the template. Okay, the base. I kind of want to mention that too. I think there's a lot of smart people involved. The template that when it was being assembled. So you can see it when it's still on the ground on the base of the tower. Yeah. So Mike Lunde made the template of that. The template.
Oh, okay.
Matching the dimensions of the pad that was poured already. So that way it was being assembled, to fit the pad itself.
Oh.
Even though we had some struggles a little bit, and you saw us use, come-alongs and straps and all that.
Yeah, what was that for?
Just to get the tension right. Just because to get the tension right, and to fit all the bolts at the same time, because there was 2 corners or a couple corners that were off, so just to get it all fit properly. Okay. And there was struggle too, because since they were off, Christian also there's another smart idea. We cut small pieces of 3/4 inch EMT to.
What's that?
EMT is like pipe, just some steel pipe.
Okay.
Or some to not mess up the threads on the base of the tower, because if not, we wouldn't be able to screw on those nuts.
Because it's not lined up.
Because it's not lined up, and then the threads would be messed up. If I'm making sense. So he cut pieces of 3/4 inch EMT, which is pipe, and he put them almost like a sleeve on the thread of the base, on the bolts of the base. I don't know if you caught a picture of that. But I thought that was a smart idea. So yeah. There's a bunch of smart ideas that we all could just came together with. To be honest, it was really nice. Now it's like we're glad that it's over, type of thing.
Oh yeah.
They're like, oh, when we get another tower, we already have a crew. Oh yeah, right.
So is that project is it totally done now?
No, there's still.
You said the beacon was put up there? Or?
The beacon is up there. It's not functional because there is some equipment that the airport still has to receive in order for it to be functional. And then we also have to take into consideration that the old tower, the existing tower, has to come down. Okay. So that's going to be another mob and another crane day.
And Royal's doing that too.
And Royal's doing that too. Yeah, I'm gonna have to scrap the metal and everything. But there was expressed concerns from the fire department next door of our work site that they wanted the tower for training. And so who
the old
knows?
tower.
Yeah, so who knows if that's gonna,
it's interesting. But how would that work? Because it's supposed to be the tallest thing in the area, right? For the beacon to work.
Yeah, maybe. I'm assuming. Yeah, lower it or just transport it somewhere else.
I see.
Bring it down as a whole, lift it back up as a whole for their training purposes. But they would have to, express the needs and the methods to do that. If they really want to. If not, then I don't know how much say the fire department has there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. It's always not nerve-wracking, but exciting, let's say, to when you have something get picked up in the air.
Yeah.
If you don't do it every day.
Yeah.
Obviously, the guys that were operating in the spotter, they do it every day. So.
Yeah, I noticed too in the safety meeting, Frank was talking about the communication.
Yeah.
And how he's like, we don't want anyone else but the crane operator and his spotter communicating.
Yeah. And we kept it just like that. And everything went really, really well. It was really nice to see everything come together. The electricians did a really good job with all the prefab work, with the panels. Arnell did a really good job in painting some of the helping paint.
Oh.
He did a really good job in helping us paint a lot of the things, primered up, painted in white, and then we had painters paint in orange, do touch-ups. But a lot of people, like I was saying, there's a lot of heads in this project towards the end and throughout. Honestly, it was really good to see everybody just come together, get this thing over with.
Yeah. Well, we have some more jobs out at the airport, right? At Sacramento.
Yeah.
Are you involved with those at all? Or?
No, it's mostly Daniel and his field engineers.
Oh,
okay. I think there was like a taxiway job and then a bus lot that's going on right now. But yeah, there's more.
And there's like a baggage area thing I think they just got.
I don't know about that one.
Okay.
Must be new. Should be good then.
Yeah.
Baggage area.
What other jobs do you have going right now?
Right now I'm pre-planning for SFO in March.
Okay.
Currently I'm involved in Mather Airport where we did generator replacement. So a little bit of underground, a lot of electrical. So the generators at both tower side and vault room side are getting replaced and are now replaced. We're just waiting on some material, long procurement times and certain material, certain equipment. But CCRs, constant current regulators, CCRs are getting replaced. Those power up like taxiways and runways and certain circuits. And what else? There was a gate installed around the tower, an automatic gate installed around the tower. What else? The equipment inside and outside of the tower, and communication that goes all the way up to the top of the tower, so they have access to let people in and out once that gate is fully functional.
Okay.
We're waiting on the fire department, not the fire department, but we're waiting for like a emergency access type of in and out for if there was any emergencies or fires that the local fire department can be in control of. So we're waiting on that.
What fire department would that be? Does the airport have their own, or?
They have their own. I think it fell back on their own because they were saying Metro,
Mm.
but it's in Mather. I'm not sure, but they're in talks of it falling back on the fire department, and then it falling back on the airport. And they ended up, I think, getting a sub, or maybe there's still unknown, you know. But there's that. There's Mather with the generator replacement. There is some highway jobs, like I was a part of Calusa. I think that one's, I think we might have to go back. Small work. Yuba City, widen Highway 70 project. There's some demo that we did, and then removal of like poles and equipment for like Caltrans.
Okay.
And installing some temporary lighting for De Silva gates. That's change order work. So we still have to go finish that off. What else? There's something else, but I keep forgetting. Actually, I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, staying busy with those 2 SAC jobs, which is this Mather, 2 highway jobs, and then now pre-planning for SFO with Daniel.
Which SFO?
A1355. It's like I don't know exactly which one it is off the top of my head. But it's a 1L or like 19, one of the runways.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about your role. I mean, when you started, you were kind of around the time that the field engineer role became a thing, right? Is that?
Yeah. As far as I can remember, I remember being either like the 3rd one or the 2nd one. My role coming in was I was very green. I didn't know anything. And I feel like the fact that I'm still here kind of wows me.
Really?
Because I didn't know anything, dude. It was just being, truthful and telling them the truth that hey, you guys know that I don't know anything, right? I remember telling a lot of people, Igor, Dan Kruger, Igor, and Lakshmi, and they're like, just give it a try. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So just being, honest, that, being comfortable with saying I don't know in a lot of cases really gets you to where I am now. They just last week, I think it was last week, gave me a promotion to Underground Foreman. Oh. So I guess now my email says Underground Foreman. And there was like a little bit of excitement, and I didn't get too excited because I felt like since I got hired to where I'm at now, I picked up a lot of foreman tendencies, but by good mentors is why I picked up those tendencies, and just the work ethic was always there. Being reliable was always there. Yeah. Just the experience from these really seasoned foremen got to where I'm at today. And sometimes I feel like this position is like almost unearned, because I don't have I'm putting my expectations to their knowledge. Yeah. And I don't have that yet because they have years, but I want to be decades. Yeah. So, and just little things that they do, they know, and I don't know that yet. So, okay. So sometimes I feel like I kind of, now that I'm thinking about it, it almost feels unearned, that this position that
bit of imposter syndrome.
Yes, a little bit. Because I'm like, dude, I don't know. I don't feel like, but by saying that, I don't want to sell myself short, because they must have seen something in me, or whatever. Right. Whatever I've done for these past 4 years has got to me where I'm at today. I sometimes look back, and the people that were here when I got hired are no longer here. And they have degrees, or they had degrees, and maybe they went on to do better things. That also gives me like a pat in the back, like they're not here, but you are. Yeah. So they must have seen something in you that they didn't see something in them. So I always do a little flashback with Daniel, because I remember when, at that point, onboarding was different. You know, people handling onboarding was different. They still, I don't know if they do that now, but whenever you get a new hire, they take them out to lunch to get to know them. So I remember that instant.
Who did you go out to lunch with?
Like Asif, Lakshmi, Annalise, Daniel Perez. I think Dan went with us. It was all the airport, you know, little crew. But yeah, you know, little by little, got experience, stayed reliable, was always willing to work, you know, do things I've never done before. As I always learn. I think also at that point, they started implementing a lot of plan grid. I think Daniel was telling me like a lot of plan grid started to come to play. So they were looking for people that are tech savvy, or just, you know, can teach the seasoned veterans to how to maneuver through iPads and the way that we wanted to go. I think that's what came.
So that's using iPads instead of like paper.
Yes. Yeah. That heavy job, I think. I don't know when they started doing heavy job, but.
So is that integrated with PlanGrid?
No, that's different.
But just another on the iPad.
On the iPad itself, yeah. So I think they were looking for people that can execute that. So I ended up doing what they expected, I think. This is funny. So we had a trailer at one of the very first jobs. The very first job that I went to was Mather with Lakshmi. So it's kind of like when I got back to Mather, it's kind of like a full circle, because I ended up where I started. And we had a trailer out there, and there's drawers and everything, and it's clearing them out, you know, seeing what was in there. And I saw just like files and files of how they used to do their dailies. It's just everything's handwritten, and like everything handwritten, and just files and files of different jobs. And sometimes I would ask like Silvio or or Jorge, you know, do you guys have to do this like every day? Sit and just write, like literally write, like yeah, man. And it's crazy to see what it's come to now. Everything's way quicker.
Well, and then I remember seeing a lot of like photos of printed documents for the records.
Yeah, a lot different. A lot can change, and it's not that long ago.
Right.
It's like
like you say, it was right about when we started. Yeah, same thing with like contracts. Like they have, you know, file cabinets filled with contracts, and now it's all online or on the server.
That's insane. Only 5 years ago, like about 5 years ago.
Yeah,
it's not that long. It's insane how much can change, you know.
Yeah, and then the VDC was kind of fresh then too, and now it's like, seems like before they were kind of more specialized in like commercial, residential, and now they're kind of involved with everything. Right? Yeah.
It's really nice. It's really nice. Crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Really nice though.
So what was your background before Royal?
Background was at that moment before Royal, I was working at Nugget Market. I was going to school at CRC. I was doing an EMT program, and I wanted to be a firefighter. That was the path that I was on. So started at Nugget working night shifts, and then I got tired of it. I was like, I want to go back to school. So I did. Sold on being a firefighter, so I had to be EMT certified, or have my EMT certification in order to be a firefighter. It was a long path that I started to realize you need to have a little bit more preparation and not just jump into the EMT program. At CRC, they really have a good EMT program, and the way that program is instructed is you have to pass the midterm in order to continue the rest of the program. If you don't, you have the decision either to drop out, try it again, or drop out, prepare and try it again. Or if you don't pass it, you can stay in there and you almost be like a helping hand, but you're still getting all the knowledge and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I at that point, that was close to the midterm, is when I was also coaching soccer on the side at my old high school, Sheldon High School. So I didn't pass it, made the decision, didn't pass the midterm, made the decision to stay in the course, still working at Nugget, still coaching. And then through coaching, there was an assistant coach that was also a counselor at the school and was also friends with Gardner's wife. She's also a counselor there. So through that avenue, he told me about Royal, and I told him my plans of what I want to do this upcoming year or with my life. And he's like, well, there's this position, or not position, but they're looking for help. And then, so he gave me contacts. I bugged, I think it was Eric's number and Steve's number, Steve Romero. And so I bugged the crap out of them until I got a response, dude. I got a response from Steve. One day he was here at the shop and he called me. He's like, I'm here at the office. If you're available, you can come now. And wow. I just did. I was off that day. Yeah. I got changed, came through, and he took me to Dan Kruger's office and Daniel's office. They had an office together. And at that time, they had it over where Jesus has his office. So everything was still full in here. Yeah. A little less full than it is now. Yeah. To the point where they had to store Dan Kruger and Daniel over there at the other side. So he took me there and he just started explaining the job and what I would be doing, like if I almost had the job. And he caught me off guard with the question, like, okay, well, how much do you want to get paid? And I was like, I didn't have an answer.
You didn't like look up anything?
No, nothing. Because it was just that day. Yeah. It just, and then I was like, well, I instantly thought of double what I'm making at, Nugget Market. and he's like, okay, we can work with that. Well, when can you start? I'm like, let me put my 2 weeks in. And like, okay, I respect that. So I put my 2 weeks in, and next thing you know, I started working. Didn't know nothing about plans. I remember Lakshmi teaching me about how to read plans. It was just all fresh and new. Nothing. That's it. I feel like I had too much on my plate at that time. Yeah. But yeah.
That's interesting. It kind of seems like sort of a more old school mentality, like Steve would have. Like, I feel like it's more of a, you wouldn't think of that, like, with our generation, let's say working in an office or something. Yeah. It's like you have a million interviews and he's just like, yeah, it must have had a good feeling about you. And,
Yeah.
That's interesting.
He did express that if it didn't work out, there's, they're not shy to let you go. So they took a chance, they took a chance and, I'm here now. So I can't, thankful for, them taking a chance on someone that didn't know anything at that time. Yeah. But it's at that, looking at that point, I believe that's what I feel a lot of companies would rather do, maybe. Like people that really don't have, some companies, I don't know, but they mold you to how their culture is, or what they want. And if you're adaptable and coachable, then, you could, pave the way for a lot of people.
Yeah, it seems to be how Royal does it, where they really focus on the communication and the, personality of the person. Are they going to be, like you say, moldable? Yeah. And then all of the, more hard skills, the core, employees are so experienced that like they're not really so concerned about that. As long as they can tell like, oh yeah, this person's like going to learn and grow and, So it almost seems like they prefer someone who's not necessarily, at least in the entry level, not so like, expertise wise, because that's here.
Yeah, that is here. Honestly, there's a lot of smart people here. A lot of smart people here.
Yeah.
It's crazy. A lot of people that are here.
Yeah. Well, Underground Foreman, are you looking forward to it in the future?
Yeah.
Have you heard any inklings of job, like your first job that you're going to be running?
Well, I think the reason why they made the move is because SFO, there's going to be, day crew, night crew. So 2 crews in the day, 2 crews at night.
Oh, I see.
On both sides of the runways. So I'm going to be at least one of them on one end, making it happen out there. You know how SFO gets crazy.
Yeah.
It's fast paced, and you just have to be in it. And I was involved like in some SFO stuff prior to this, so I kind of know my ways around the airport.
Yeah.
And I started to get more familiar with the airport when during the pre-planning for the previous one that they had, the past one that they had, because they also told me the same thing. Oh, you're going to be involved in this project. You're going to be one of the main guys. But we got busy with, Monterey, Palo Alto, and things like that, and other projects, Travis, Air Force Base. And they needed other people to fill in those spots, and I gladly did. And now coming back to SFO, I'm kind of like picking up where I left off, kind of thing.
Cool.
Yeah. So
nice.
SFO is going to be one of them. Other than that, I don't know anything else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, congrats. That's exciting.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
It should be exciting. It should be fun.
Well, thanks for sitting down. I appreciate it. It was fun learning about all this stuff.
Hell yeah. Anytime, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.